The first thing Maya noticed when she woke up was the silence. Not the comfortable silence of her bedroom back on Earth, but something different. Something that made her skin crawl with unease. Her eyes opened slowly, squinting against bright white lights that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. This wasn't her research ship. The walls were too smooth, too perfect. They curved in ways that human architecture never did, and they glowed with a soft light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air tasted different too, cleaner somehow, but with a metallic temps that made her tongue feel strange. But her body felt like it was made of lead. Her arms wouldn't respond properly, and her legs felt completely numb. Panic started to creep up her throat as memories came flooding back. The asteroid field, the alarms screaming in her ears, the horrible grinding sound of metal tearing apart. The moment when her ship's life support system failed and everything went black, she should be dead. So why wasn't she? The door to the room slid open without making a sound, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. The figure that walked in was tall, much taller than any human she'd ever seen. Their skin was pale blue, like ice under moonlight, and seemed to shimmer when they moved. Their limbs were longer than they should be, graceful in a way that made Maya think of dancers or swimmers. But it was their eyes that made her heart race. Large, silver, and completely unblinking, they seemed to look right through her. The being wore something that looked like medical scrubs, but the fabric moved like liquid mercury, changing color slightly as they walked. In their hands was a device that looked like a cross between a tablet and a piece of art, glowing with soft blue. Light that pulsed in rhythm with the walls. Maya tried to speak, but only managed a small croak. Her throat felt like sandpaper, the alien being tilted their head, studying her with those unsettling silver eyes. When they spoke, their voice was surprisingly warm, though the accent was unlike anything Maya had ever heard. The words seemed to flow like water. "Human, I'm here to treat every inch of you thoroughly," the being said, and Maya could swear she saw the corners of their mouth turn upward in what might have been a smile. Though with their features being so different, it was hard to tell if they were being friendly or threatening. Ajay's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. She wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Where was she? What happened to her ship? Who was this being? But all that came out was another croak. The alien seemed to understand her distress. They moved to a wall panel that Maya hadn't noticed before and touched it with one long finger. Immediately, a small cup filled with clear liquid appeared from a hidden compartment. "Drink," the being said, bringing the cup to Maya's lips. "Your vocal cords are damaged from oxygen loss. This will help." The liquid was warm and tasted faintly of mint. As soon as it touched her throat, the burning sensation began to fade. After a few sips, Maya found she could speak again, though her voice sounded rough and unfamiliar. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I am Zix," the being replied, setting the cup aside. "I am what you might call a medical specialist, though your language doesn't have proper words for what I do. Where am I?" "You are aboard Medical Station Epsilon 7, in what your people call the Outer Rim. Your vessel was found drifting 3 days ago. You were nearly dead when we brought you aboard." Maya's head spun. 3 days. It felt like she'd just closed her eyes moments ago. "My ship. ... What happened to my ship?" Zix's expression became something that might have been sympathy. "Your vessel suffered catastrophic damage in an asteroid field. The life support systems failed completely. By the time our patrol found you, your body had been without proper oxygen for nearly 20 minutes. 20 minutes without oxygen? Maya knew enough about human biology to understand what that meant. Brain damage, organ failure, death. And yet here she was, talking to an alien nurse who looked like they'd stepped out of a dream. "I should be dead," she said quietly. "Yes," Zix agreed, matter-of-factly. "By your species' medical standards, you were dead. Your heart had stopped. Your brain showed no activity. Your cellular structure was beginning to break down." "Then how?" "My people have developed techniques that your medicine cannot yet comprehend. We can repair damage at the molecular level, restore function to organs that have failed. even reconstruct neural pathways that have been destroyed. Zix moved around her bed, checking readings on devices Maya couldn't begin to understand. The process is ... comprehensive. Maya didn't like the way Zix said that word. What do you mean by comprehensive? Zix paused, their silver eyes meeting. Hers human biology is complex. To repair the damage done to your body, I must understand every system, every cell, every molecule. Nothing can be overlooked. Nothing can be missed. You mean you have to examine everything? I have to examine everything, Zix confirmed. Your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, your endocrine system, your immune system, every organ, every tissue, every cellular structure. The healing process requires complete biological mapping. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. She'd been examined by doctors before, but this sounded far more invasive than anything she'd ever experienced. Is that really necessary?
Would you
prefer to die? Zix asked, not unkindly, closed her eyes and took a shaky breath. When she opened them again, Zix was still watching her with those unblinking silver eyes. I don't have a choice, do I? You always have a choice, Zix said. I cannot force treatment upon you, but I should tell you that the damage to your body is extensive. Without intervention, you have perhaps 6 of your hours remaining before the cellular breakdown becomes irreversible. 6 hours. Maya thought. About her life back on Earth. About all the things she'd never get to do. All the discoveries she'd never make. She thought about her research. About the mission that had brought her out here in the first place. She thought about her family, who might never know what happened to her. If I agree to this treatment, she said slowly, what happens then? Then I heal you, Zix said simply. Completely. Your body will be restored to better condition than it was before the accident. You will be stronger, healthier, more resilient than you have ever been. And after that?
Yeah.
You are free to go wherever you choose. Though I suspect you will find that your experience here has changed you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Maya stared at the ceiling, watching the gentle pulse of light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Everything about this situation was impossible. Alien technology, medical procedures beyond human understanding, a being who claimed they could bring the dead back to life. 6 months ago, she would have called it all fantasy. But here she was, alive when she should be dead, talking to a creature from another world who was offering to save her life in exchange for the most thorough medical examination she could imagine. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Zix tilted their head. Okay, I agree to the treatment. I trust you. Zix's expression changed, becoming something that might have been surprise. You trust me? You do not know me. You do not know my people. You do not understand our methods. Maya managed a small smile. You're right. I don't know any of those things. But I know you could have left me to die in space, and you didn't. You could have just let me wake up and die naturally, and you didn't. You're offering to save my life. Even though I'm a complete stranger from a species you've probably never treated before? How do you know I have never treated a human before?
Oh.
Because if you had, you wouldn't look so nervous about it. For the first time since she'd woken up, Zix seemed genuinely surprised. They stood perfectly still for a moment, then made a sound that might have been laughter. We're more perceptive than I expected, they said. Yes, you are correct. Have never treated a human before. Your species is new to us. Then we're both taking a leap of faith here, Maya said. Zix nodded slowly. Yes, I suppose we are. They moved to their device and began touching symbols that appeared on its surface. The room's lighting changed, becoming softer and more focused. New instruments descended from the ceiling, unarticulated, arms humming quietly as they powered up. The process will take several days, Zix explained as they worked. During that time, you will experience sensations unlike anything you have felt before. Some may be uncomfortable. Some may be pleasant. All are necessary. Will it hurt? Not in the way you understand pain. But healing, true healing, is never entirely comfortable. Maya watched as Zix prepared their equipment with movements that were both alien and strangely graceful. She realized that she was about to become part of something unprecedented first. Contact between two species, played out in the most intimate setting possible. "Zix," she said quietly. "Yes. Thank you for saving me. For giving me this chance." Zix paused in their preparations and looked at her with those silver eyes. "Thank me when the treatment is complete, human. We have a long journey ahead of us." As the first scanner moved into position above her body, Maya took a deep breath and closed her eyes. Whatever happened next, she was alive to experience it. And for now, that was enough. Maya woke up feeling like she'd been taken apart and put back together again, but she realized with a start might actually be what had happened. The medical bay looked different in the morning light, if it was morning. Time seemed to work differently on this alien station. Zix was already there, moving around the room with that strange fluid grace that made Maya think of underwater dancers. Their pale blue skin seemed brighter today, and those silver eyes held something that might have been satisfaction. "How do you feel?" Zix asked, approaching her bed with a device that looked like a crystal flower blooming in their palm. Maya took inventory of her body. Yesterday, she'd felt like every cell was screaming in pain. Today she felt ... different. Not just better, but somehow more aware of herself. She could feel her heartbeat more clearly, sense the air flowing in and out of her lungs, even detect the subtle electrical activity of her nervous system. "I feel strange," she said honestly. "Like I'm more me than I was before, if that makes any sense?" Zix's expression changed to something that might have been pleasure. "It makes perfect sense. The initial healing phase has begun. Your body is remembering what it means to function at full capacity." They held up the crystal device, and suddenly Maya was looking at herself, but not like any reflection she'd ever seen. This was her entire body mapped out in glowing three-dimensional light. Every organ visible, every system pulsing with different colors. "This is you," Zix said, rotating the hologram with a gesture. "Every cell, every molecule, every quantum of energy that makes up your being." Maya stared in fascination. She could see her heart beating, her blood flowing, even the electrical patterns of her brain activity. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "I've never seen anything like this," she whispered. "Your human medicine is still very primitive," Zix said, though their tone wasn't unkind. "You treat symptoms, not causes. You repair damage. But you don't restore true health, and you do?" "We heal the whole being," Zix explained, manipulating the hologram to show different layers of Maya's body. "Physical, mental, energetic, everything is connected. You cannot heal one part without understanding the whole." Maya watched as Zix pointed to different areas of her body, explaining things she'd never heard before. Energy patterns that flowed like rivers through her nervous system. Cellular memories that stored not just genetic information, but emotional experiences. Quantum fields that connected every atom in her body to every other atom. "Is this how your people see everyone?" Maya asked. "This is how we see everything," Zix replied. "Life is not separate pieces working together. Life is one system, one pattern, one song, one song." Zix touched another control, and suddenly Maya could hear something impossible. A gentle, rhythmic melody that seemed to come from the hologram itself. It was her heartbeat, but also more than that. The electrical activity of her brain created a harmony, while her breathing provided a steady bass note. "Every living being creates music," Zix said softly. "Your song is ... unusual." "Unusual, how?" "Most beings we treat have simple melodies, predictable patterns, but your song ... Zix paused, listening to the impossible music of Maya's body. "Your song is complex, full of variations and surprises. It tells a story." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She'd never thought of herself as musical, had always been told she couldn't carry a tune. But here was this alien being telling her that her very existence was a song. "What story does it tell?" she asked. Zix was quiet for a long moment, studying the patterns of light and sound that represented Maya's life. "It tells of someone who has traveled far from home, searching for something they cannot name. Someone who has been alone for a long time, but who still hopes. Someone who is stronger than they believe themselves to be." Maya wiped her eyes with The back of her hand?
Ow!
Can you know all that just from looking at my song? Because pain and healing leave their marks on the energy patterns of the body, Zix explained. Joy and sorrow, fear and courage, loneliness and connection, all of these create unique signatures in your quantum field. That's incredible and kind of scary. Why scary? Maya thought about it. Because it means you can see parts of me that I've never shown anyone. Parts I've tried to hide, even from myself. Zix set down their device and looked at her directly. On my world, we believe that true healing is impossible without honesty. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. What about privacy? Don't your people believe in keeping some things to themselves? We believe in connection, Zix said. Privacy is a human concept that we find difficult to understand. How can you truly know someone if they hide parts of themselves from you? Maya laughed, though it came out a bit shaky. Trust me, there are plenty of parts of myself I'd rather keep hidden. Why? The question was so simple, so direct, that Maya didn't know how to answer it. Why did humans hide their pain, their fears, their deepest longings? Why did they pretend to be stronger or happier or more successful than they really were? Because, she said finally, we're afraid that if people really knew us, they wouldn't like what they saw. Zix tilted their head in that bird-like way they had. And yet you allowed me to see your song. You allowed me to see all of you. I didn't have a choice. I said I would die without treatment. You had a choice, Zix corrected gently. Could have chosen to die rather than reveal yourself? Many beings do. Maya hadn't thought of it that way. She'd been so focused on surviving that she hadn't realized what she was really agreeing to. Not just medical treatment, but complete vulnerability. Is that why you became a healer? She asked. Because you like seeing people's songs? Zix moved to the window, or what Maya assumed was a window. It showed a view of space that was more beautiful than anything she'd ever seen, with stars that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. I became a healer because I was broken once, Zix said quietly. My song was discordant, full of pain and fear and anger. Another healer helped me find harmony again, wanted to do the same for others. What broke you? Zix was quiet for so long that Maya thought they weren't going to answer. When they finally spoke, their voice was barely above a whisper. I lost someone, one whose song harmonized perfectly with mine. When they died, my music became silence. Maya felt her chest tighten with sympathy.
Ow.
I'm sorry. It was long ago. But the experience taught me that healing is not just about repairing physical damage. Sometimes the deepest wounds are in the song itself. They turned back to Maya, and she saw something in those silver eyes that she recognized, the look of someone who had been alone for too long. Is that why you've never treated a human before? She asked gently. Because you've been focusing on the physical healing and avoiding the deeper work? Zix's expression shifted to something that might have been surprise. You are very perceptive for someone who claims to be simple. I'm not simple, Maya said with a small smile. I'm just human. We're pretty good at recognizing pain in others even when they try to hide it. And yet you hide your own pain too, Shay. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching. The stars pulse outside the window. Maya realized that something had changed between them. The formal distance of doctor and patient was dissolving into something more like friendship. Zix, she said finally. Yes. When you listen to my song, what do you hear right now? Zix activated their device again, and Maya's holographic form appeared between them, glowing softly in the dim light of the medical bay. The music that emerged was different from before, still complex, but somehow warmer, more harmonious. I hear someone who is no longer alone, Zix said softly. Maya smiled, and as she did, she could swear she heard her song grow a little brighter, a little more beautiful. Maybe, she thought, healing really was about more than just fixing what was broken. Maybe it was about finding harmony with another soul, even if that soul happened to be blue and silver and from a world she'd never seen. Neither are you, she said. For the first time since she'd met them, Zix smiled, a real smile that transformed their entire face and made their silver eyes shine like stars. No, they agreed. Neither am I. Maya woke up to the sound of alarms. Not the gentle chimes she'd grown used to over the past few days, but harsh, urgent bleeps that made her heart race. The medical bay was bathed in red light, and she could see Zix moving frantically between different machines, their usual calm completely gone. What's happening? Maya tried to sit up, but her body felt wrong. Her skin was burning hot, and every muscle ached like she'd run a marathon. A sweat poured down her face, and her vision kept blurring in and out of focus. "Stay still," Zix commanded, their voice tight with worry. "Your body is rejecting the nanobots." "The what?" Maya gasped. Speaking felt like swallowing broken glass. "The microscopic repair units I introduced into your bloodstream," Zix explained, their hands flying over control panels. "We're healing your damaged cells, but your immune system has identified them as invaders." Maya didn't need a medical degree to understand what that meant. Her body was attacking the very things that were supposed to save her life. She could feel the battle raging inside her: heat, pain, and a sick feeling that was getting worse by the minute. "Can you stop them?" she managed to ask. Zix's silver eyes met hers, and Maya saw something there that terrified her more than the pain uncertainty. The alien healer, who had seemed so confident, so knowledgeable, now looked lost. "I'm trying," Zix said, "but human biology is more complex than I anticipated. Your immune responses are unlike anything in our databases." A wave of nausea hit Maya so hard she thought she might pass out. The room spun around her, and she could taste metal in her mouth. "How long do I have? If I cannot stabilize the reaction within the next few hours." Zix's voice trailed off. "I'll die. Yes." Maya closed her eyes and tried to focus on breathing. In and out, in and out. Each breath was getting harder, like her lungs were filling with concrete. She thought about how ironic it would be to survive a spaceship crash and alien rescue, only to die because her own body couldn't accept help. "There might be another way," Zix said suddenly. Maya opened her eyes. "What kind of way? My personal?" "Laboratory. I have equipment there that isn't available in the standard medical bay. More advanced tools, experimental techniques. Then let's go. It's risky. Moving you in this condition could make the rejection worse." Maya tried to laugh, but it came out as a cough that left blood on her lips. "How much worse can it get?" Zix didn't answer, which was answer enough. The journey to Zix's personal quarters felt like traveling through a fever dream. Maya drifted in and out of consciousness as Zix wheeled her through corridors that seemed to shift and change around them. The walls pulsed with colors she didn't have names for, and the air hummed with energy that made her skin tingle. When they finally stopped, Maya found herself in a room that took her breath away. What little breath she had left. It wasn't like anything she'd expected. Instead of cold, sterile medical equipment, the space felt alive. The walls were covered in what looked like living plants, but they glowed with soft bioluminescence and seemed to respond to their presence. Vines heavy with flowers that sparkled like jewels hung from the ceiling, and the floor was carpeted with something that felt like moss but pulsed gently under her feet. "This is where you live," Maya whispered. "This is where I work," Zix corrected, but their voice was gentler now. "On my world, we believe that healing happens best in harmony with nature." As Zix transferred her to a new bed, this one seemed to be grown rather than built. Made of smooth wood that curved perfectly to support her body, Maya noticed something that surprised her. The alien looked exhausted. Their usually bright blue skin was dull and grayish, and their movements lacked their usual fluid grace. "Zix," she said as they began setting up new equipment, "when was the last time you slept? Sleep is not important right now. That's not what I asked." Zix paused in their work and looked at her. "I have not rested since your treatment began. That was 3 days ago." Yes. Maya felt a strange warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with her fever. "You've been awake for 3 days straight, taking care of me. You are my patient, my responsibility. But why? I'm just some random human you found floating in space. You don't owe me anything." Zix was quiet for a long moment, their hands stilling on the controls of a machine that looked like a cross between a harp and a computer. When they spoke, their voice was barely audible. "When I found you, your song was almost silent, fading away like an echo. But it was still beautiful, still unique. I could not let that music disappear from the universe." Maya felt tears prick her eyes, even though you'd never heard a human song before, especially because I had never heard a human song before. Every melody that is lost makes the universe a little quieter, a little less beautiful. Before Maya could respond, another wave of pain crashed over her. This one was worse than the others, making her back arch and her hands clench into fists. She bit down on her lip to keep from screaming. Zix was at her side immediately, their cool hands touching her burning forehead. The rejection is accelerating. I need to work faster. What if it doesn't work? Maya gasped. What if my body just can't accept your healing? Then I will find another way. But what if there isn't another way? Zix looked down at her with those silver eyes, and Maya saw determination there that surprised her. Then I will keep trying until there is. As Zix worked, Maya found herself studying their face. The exhaustion was obvious now, dark circles under their eyes, a slight tremor in their usually steady hands. They were pushing themselves beyond their limits, and it was all for her. A stranger, it's an alien from a species they'd never even met before. You're scared, Maya realized suddenly. Zix's hands stilled on their equipment. What? You're scared? You've been trying to act confident, but you're just as frightened as I am. I'm a healer. I do not. You're terrified that you can't save me, Maya continued. That's why you haven't slept. That's why you brought me here to your personal space. You're throwing everything you have at this problem because you can't bear the thought of failing. Zix turned away from her, but Maya could see the tension in their shoulders. I told you I had never treated a human before, Zix said quietly. What I did not tell you is that I volunteered for this assignment specifically because I wanted to learn about your species. Why? Because your people are explorers, adventurers. You travel to the far edges of space alone, just to see what is there. My people would never do such a thing. We are cautious, careful. We do not take risks. You're taking a risk now. With me, yes. Maya reached out and took Zix's hand. Their skin was cool and smooth, and she could feel the slight tremor of exhaustion in their fingers. Then we're both taking a leap of faith, she said, echoing her words from their first meeting. And maybe that's exactly what we need. Look down at their joined hands, then back at Maya's face. Your fever is breaking. Maya blinked in surprise. The burning heat that had been consuming her was starting to fade, replaced by a different sensation. Not exactly coolness, but a kind of balance, like her body was finally finding its rhythm again. How is that possible? I think Zix said. Slowly, your body needed to trust the healing, not just receive it, and trust requires connection. As the pain continued to ebb away, Maya squeezed Zix's hand. Thank you. For not giving up. For staying awake for 3 days. For bringing me into your personal space. Thank you, Zix replied. For helping me remember that the most important part of healing isn't the technology or the techniques, it's the connection between healer and patient. Maya smiled weakly. So what happens now? Zix checked the readings. On their machines, and for the first time in hours, their expression relaxed slightly. Now we work together. Your body knows how to heal itself, it just needs guidance. And guidance works best when there is trust. I trust you, Maya said simply. And I, Zix said, settling into a chair beside her bed. Trust you. As they began the next phase of treatment, working together instead of Zix simply treating her, Maya realized that something fundamental had changed between them. They were no longer just alien and human, healer and patient. They were partners in something new, something neither of their species had experienced before. The road ahead might still be difficult, but for the first time since waking up on this station, Maya felt truly hopeful. They would figure this out together. The breakthrough came at dawn, or what Maya had learned to think of as dawn on the space station. The artificial lighting gradually shifted from the soft blue of night to the warm gold of morning. And for the first time in days, Maya woke up. Feeling truly clear-headed, Zix was already awake, of course. They'd barely slept even after the crisis had passed, constantly monitoring Maya's progress and adjusting the treatment. But now they looked different, more relaxed, more hopeful. How do you feel? Zix asked, approaching with their scanning device. Maya stretched carefully, testing her body, I feel. Amazing, actually. Like every cell in my body is humming with energy. The integration is complete, Zik said, studying the holographic display of Maya's body. The nanobots are no longer foreign invaders. They've become part of your biological systems. Maya watched the display with fascination. She could see the tiny repair units working throughout her body, not fighting her immune system, but working with it, strengthening it, making everything function better than it ever had before. This is incredible, she breathed. Can actually feel them working. That is unusual, Zix noted. Most patients are not aware of the nanobots once integration is complete. Maybe it's because we work together to make this happen. Maybe my body learned to communicate with them instead of just accepting them. Zix tilted their head thoughtfully. That is a very human way to look at it. What do you mean? My people approach healing as a science. We analyze, we calculate, we apply solutions. But you approached it as a relationship. You talked to your body, convinced it to trust the nanobots instead of fight them. Maya laughed. I talk to my body all the time, don't you? We do not typically have conversations with our cellular structures, no. Well, maybe you should try it sometime. My body's been through a lot with me. We've learned to work together. As they talked, Zix began the next phase of treatment, something they called deep integration. Unlike the previous procedures, this one required Maya to be fully conscious and actively participating. I need you to focus on your memories, Zix explained, positioning new scanners around Maya's head. The nanobots need to understand not just your physical structure, but your mental and emotional patterns as well. Why? Because trauma leaves marks on more than just the body. Your near-death experience, the fear, the isolation, all of these create distortions in your energy patterns. To heal you completely, we must address these as well. Maya felt a flutter of nervousness. You mean you're going to see my memories, not see them as you do? Zix assured her. I will perceive them as patterns of energy, emotional resonances. But yes, I will understand your experiences in ways that go beyond words. Maya thought about this for a moment. Over the past few days, she'd already shared more with Zix than she had with most humans. The idea of opening her mind completely should have terrified her, but instead she felt oddly calm about it. Okay, she said, what do I need to do? Simply remember. Start with your earliest memory and move forward through your life. Do not try to edit or hide anything. Nanobots need to see the complete pattern of who you are. Maya closed her eyes and let her mind drift back. Home, with its creaky wooden floors, and the garden where her mother grew vegetables. Her first day of school, the mixture of excitement and terror. Learning to ride a bike, falling off countless times before finally finding her balance. As she remembered, she became aware of something extraordinary happening. The memories weren't just playing in her mind, they were being transformed into something else. Patterns of light and sound that seemed to dance around her, creating a visual symphony of her entire life. This is beautiful, she whispered, opening her eyes to see the light show surrounding her. This is you, Zix said softly. Every joy, every sorrow, every moment of growth and change. The nanobots are learning not just how to repair your body, but how to honor who you are. Maya continued, remembering moving through her teenage years. Her education, her first job as a research scientist. Each memory added new colors and melodies to the pattern around her. But as she reached more recent memories, the pattern began to change. The colors became muted, the melodies more discordant. Maya realized she was seeing the visual representation of her loneliness, her decision to volunteer for deep space research, partly because she felt disconnected from the people around her. I can see why you chose to travel alone, Zix observed, studying the patterns. You felt like an outsider among your own people. Is it that obvious? Your energy signature shows classic patterns of someone who has never quite felt like they belonged anywhere. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. I've always been different. Even as a kid, I was more interested in looking at the stars than playing with other children. I thought if I went far enough into space, I might find somewhere I actually fit. And did you? Maya looked around the alien medical bay at Zix, with their blue skin and silver eyes. at the living plants that glowed with bioluminescence. "You know what? I think maybe I did." As she spoke, something extraordinary happened. The discordant patterns around her began to shift, becoming brighter, more harmonious. New colors appeared, warm golds and deep blues that seemed to represent connection and understanding. "Your pattern is changing," Zik said in amazement. "In real time, your emotional energy is restructuring itself. Is that normal?" "Nothing about this treatment has been normal," Zix admitted. "You're rewriting your own psychological patterns through conscious choice." Maya continued with her memories, reaching the recent past, her journey into space, the asteroid field, the moment when everything went wrong. But now, instead of ending with fear and darkness, the memory continued. The rescue meeting Zix, the growing bond between them. The patterns around her exploded into brilliant color and complex, beautiful music. It was her song, but richer and more complete than it had ever been before. "I can hear it," Maya said in wonder. "I can actually hear my own life, and it is magnificent," Zix said. But then something unexpected happened. As Maya's patterns reached their peak of beauty and complexity, they began to resonate with something else in the room. Zix's own energy patterns became visible, a different but equally beautiful arrangement of light and sound. And then, impossibly, the two patterns began to harmonize with each other. "Zix," Maya gasped. "Are you seeing this?" Zix stared at the intertwining patterns of light with wide silver eyes. "This should not be possible. Our species are too different for our energy signatures to synchronize." But it was happening anyway. Maya could feel it, a connection forming. Between her mind and Zix's, a bridge of understanding that went beyond words or even thoughts. For just a moment, she experienced what it was like to be Zix, the weight of their knowledge, their dedication to healing, their own loneliness, and the joy they felt at finally finding someone who understood them. And she knew that Zix was experiencing her memories too, her wonder at the universe, her determination to keep exploring no matter how far from home it took her, her growing trust and affection for the alien healer who had saved her life. The connection lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. When the patterns faded and the room returned to normal, Maya and Zix looked at each other with new understanding. "Did we just ... double quotes," Maya began. "Share consciousness?" "Yes, I believe we did." "Is that part of the healing process?" Zix shook their heads slowly. "That was something entirely new. Something that has never happened before in the history of my people." Maya sat up carefully, testing her body. She felt incredible, stronger and more alive than she ever had before. But more than that, she felt connected in a way she'd never experienced. Not just to Zix, but to everything around her. The station, the stars outside, even the universe itself. "I think," she said slowly, "we just proved that healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about creating something new." Zix nodded, their expression full of wonder. "And I think we have both been changed by this experience in ways we are only beginning to understand." As the final nanobots completed their work and Maya's treatment officially ended, both human and alien realized that their story was just beginning. They had created something unprecedented, a bridge between two species, built on trust, understanding, and the universal language of healing. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 3 weeks had passed since Maya's treatment was completed, and the medical station felt like home now. She'd grown used to the curved walls that pulsed with gentle light, the way the floors seemed to respond to her footsteps, and the view of the nebula outside her window that painted everything in shades of purple and gold. But today was different. Today she had to make a choice that would change her life forever. "The transport ship arrived this morning," Zix said, entering the observation deck where Maya spent most of her free time. "They're prepared to take you back to Earth whenever you are ready." Maya didn't turn away from the window. Out there, somewhere beyond the swirling colors of the nebula, was Earth. Her old life, her research, everything she'd left behind. It should have felt like salvation. Instead, it felt like abandonment. "I know," she said quietly. Zix moved too. Stand beside her, their reflection ghost-like in the transparent metal of the window. "But you are not ready." "Are you reading my energy patterns again?" Maya asked with a slight smile. I do not need to read your patterns to see that you are conflicted. You have been standing here for 3 hours. Maya finally turned to look at her alien friend, because that's what Zix had become, she realized. Not just her healer, but the closest friend she'd ever had. What would you do if you were me? I am not you. I cannot make this choice for you, but you have an opinion. Zix was quiet for a long moment, their silver eyes reflecting the nebula's light. When I first became a healer, I thought my purpose was to fix what was broken and send patients back to their normal lives. But you have taught me that sometimes healing means helping someone become who they were always meant to be. And who am I meant to be? That is for you to decide. Maya sighed and leaned against the window. My supervisor back on Earth has been sending messages. Apparently, my disappearance has caused quite a stir. They want me back for debriefing, medical evaluation, psychological assessment. They want to study what happened to me. It troubles you. They want to turn me into a lab rat. Study the alien technology in my body, figure out how to replicate it, probably try to weaponize it eventually. Maya's voice grew bitter. They don't care about the healing aspect, or the connection we made, or what this could mean for peaceful contact. Between our species, they just see an opportunity to gain an advantage. And yet you are considering returning. Maya was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Because it's what I'm supposed to do. I'm human. Earth is my home. My duty is to my own species, right? The simple question hung in the air between them. Maya had been asking herself the same thing for days, and she still didn't have an answer. The council wants to meet with you, Zix said eventually. Your government? Not government. We do not organize ourselves the way humans do. The council is a gathering of our wisest healers and philosophers. They make decisions that affect our entire civilization. Maya felt a flutter of nervousness. They want to meet with me? Why? Because of what happened during your treatment. The consciousness bridge we created, the way our energy patterns synchronized, it has never occurred before in our recorded history. Some believe it represents a new form of evolution, a way for different species to truly understand each other and others. Others are concerned. They worry that too much contact with alien minds could change us in unpredictable ways.
Maya
Understood the concern. She'd been changed by her experience too, in ways she was still discovering. Her perception of the world was different now. She could sense the emotional states of people around her, feel the life force of the plants in Zix's quarters, even detect the subtle energy patterns of the station itself. When do they want to meet? They are waiting for us now. Maya's eyes widened. Now, why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to make your choice freely, without pressure from my people. And what choice is that? Zix turned to face her fully. The choice of whether to become something new. The council is prepared to offer you citizenship in our civilization. Not as a curiosity or a research subject, but as a full member of our society. You would be the first non-Verathi to receive such an honor. Maya's heart raced. Citizenship? What would that mean? It would mean staying here, learning our ways, perhaps becoming a healer yourself. It would mean helping to establish formal contact between our peoples as an equal partner, not as a specimen to be studied. But I'd never see Earth again. That is not necessarily true. As a citizen and a bridge between our species, you would be ideally positioned to facilitate peaceful contact. But it would be on different terms, as a representative of both civilizations, not just one. Stared out at the nebula, her mind racing. It was an incredible offer, but also a terrifying one. To leave behind everything she'd ever known, everyone she'd ever cared about, to become something unprecedented. What do you think I should do? She asked. I think, Zix said carefully, that you have never truly belonged to just one world. I think you've always been meant to be a bridge between different places. It's different peoples, different ways of understanding the universe. Is that your professional opinion, Doctor? That is my opinion as your friend. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Friend, such a simple word, but it carried so much weight. She'd spent her whole life feeling like an outsider. And now this alien being was offering her not just friendship, but a place where she truly belonged. The council meeting, she said. What should I expect? Questions. Many questions. We'll want to understand how the consciousness bridge formed, whether it can be replicated, what it means for the future of interspecies contact. And if I decide to stay, then you will begin training as a cultural liaison. You will learn our healing techniques, our philosophy, our way of life. Eventually, when both our peoples are ready, you will help establish formal diplomatic relations. Maya closed her eyes and reached out with the new senses she'd developed during her healing. She could feel Zix's energy pattern beside her, warm and steady and completely trustworthy. Beyond that, she could sense the life force of the station itself, the crew members going about their duties, even the vast presence of the nebula outside. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was exactly where she belonged. Okay, she said, opening her eyes. Let's go meet your council. The council chamber was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. Instead of a formal meeting room, it was more like a garden suspended in space. Living trees with silver bark and luminescent leaves formed a natural amphitheater, and the floor was carpeted with something that felt like moss, but sparkled with tiny points of light. 7 Varathi sat in a circle at the center of the space, each one ancient by the standards of their people. Their skin had taken on an almost translucent quality. Their silver eyes held depths of wisdom that made Maya feel very young and very small. Welcome, Maya of Earth, the eldest spoke, their voice like wind through crystal. We have heard much about you. Thank you for agreeing to see me, Maya replied, surprised by how steady her own voice sounded. The question before us, another council member said, is not whether to see you, but whether to accept you. What you and Zix achieved during your healing has implications that reach far beyond medicine. For the next several hours, Maya answered questions about her experience. Her perspective on interspecies cooperation, her willingness to serve as a bridge between civilizations. Council members listened with the patience of beings who had lived for centuries, asking thoughtful questions that probed not just her knowledge, but her character. Finally, the eldest council member stood. We have made our decision, Maya of Earth. We offer you citizenship among the Varathi people, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Do you accept? Maya looked around the circle of ancient faces, then at Zix, who stood at the edge of the chamber. Her friend's expression was carefully neutral, but she could sense their hope through the energy connection they shared. I accept, she said. The formal ceremony was brief, but moving. Maya placed her hand on a living crystal that somehow recorded her energy pattern, making her officially a citizen of an alien civilization. As the crystal pulsed with her unique signature, she felt a sense of completion she'd never experienced. Later, as she and Zix walked back through the station corridors, Maya felt lighter than she had in weeks. No regrets, Zix asked? None, Maya said firmly. This is where I belong. This is what I was meant to do. We're in your people on Earth. We'll have to wait a little longer for first contact. But when it happens, it'll be done right, with understanding and respect instead of fear and exploitation. They paused at the observation deck where Maya had spent so many hours contemplating her choice. The nebula still swirled outside, but now it looked different to her. It's not like a barrier between her and home, but like a bridge to infinite possibilities. So what happens now? She asked. Now you begin your real education, Zix said, with what Maya had learned to recognize as excitement. Tomorrow, we start teaching you to heal. People. Everything. People, relationships, the connections between different forms of life. We'll learn to be a healer of worlds. Maya smiled, feeling her energy pattern resonate with joy and anticipation. Somewhere out in the vast universe, 2 civilizations continued their separate,